All right, ladies and gentlemen and programmers, we're going to do CodeAcademy Lesson 9, ArrayLists. This is Part 1, ArrayLists. Okay, so make sure get out your notes. At the very top of your notes, write down 9-1 ArrayLists. Okay, and then make sure you put your name there. And then if you're in class, well, make sure that you get it signed off right after that. So get it signed off after you answer the first question, which is right here. So notice, by the way, this is in red, indicating again that at the top you should have 9-1 in your notes. So I want you to write down an intelligent question about what you have read. So let me show you what you should have read. So you should be at, let me go back here. Okay, so you should be at Learn Java ArrayLists, and so I want you to read this carefully and read it until you understand it, and then anything that is you don't totally understand, I want you to write down a question in your notes, and then I'll quiz you on that at some point. So I'm pausing so that you can read that. Take time and read that over there. So read. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so now that you have written down your intelligent question in their notes, I want you to answer these questions. So answer these questions in your notes. You don't have to write down the question, just write down the answer, but write down the answer in the way that you understand the question. So put down the difference between an array and array list is, what is the same between an array and array list, and then what do you have to import in order to use an array list? You can just create an array. But if you want to use an array list, you have to import some stuff. So answer those quiz questions in your notes. All right, so let's figure this out. So we get an error message when we run this thing. So let's see what's happening. So let's see here. Okay, so when all right, so the question is, how do you get this thing to stop making an error message? All right, so you hit run over here, and you get this right off the get-go. You get this error message. Okay, so figure out what the heck is happening with an array index out of bounds exception. In line, where is that? And on line 11, they're saying that there's an issue. All right, so see if you can figure out what's going on with that. See if you can go and figure out what's wrong with that, and then make sure you write that down in your notes. Okay, so why do you get an error message when you run the code? And then once you fix it, then write down in your notes, I fixed the code 9-1, and then make a little dash there, and then I'm going to come over and I'll sign that off. So show me that you fixed it. We'll talk about it, and then I'll sign it off. So for the first set of notes, for 9-1, you should have two signatures. The first one over here, where you just wrote down your intelligent question. So you put 9-1 at the top. You put your name at the top. You write down your first intelligent question, and then I sign that off. And then you take these notes here, and then you fix the code, make it work, and then I'll sign it off. Okay. So the next thing I want you guys to do is now finish part 1 and go on to part 2. Fix part 1 and go on to part 2. All right, great. All right, hold on though. Actually, I'm going to show you this thing here. Let's take a look at this code. Okay, so if you look right here, you have string, grocery item, steak, milk, jelly bean. All right, so you have 1, 2, 3 elements in your array. This guy's name is 0, 1, and 2. Let's look at a graphical representation of that. So it's going to look something like this. So you have your array, which is a table. You have steak, milk, jelly beans. This guy's name, well, I don't know what the guy's name is. Let's take a look. This thing is named grocery items. Okay, so the name of this guy is grocery items 0. This is grocery items 1, and this is grocery items 2. Okay, now the problem is you're trying to fill grocery items 3, and if you look over here, there's no grocery items 3. Okay, so this, or you can't expand this array, right? Once you create the array, it's set in size. You can't add the 4th element, which would be named grocery items 3. So if you look over here, let's jump back to this code here. So when you say grocery items 3 equals ham, you're trying to add in one over here, and it won't work. Okay, so the problem is the array is fixed in size. You're trying to add an element to the array. You can't. So there's 2 ways to fix this. The first way to fix this is just to go ahead when you create it. So when you first create it, you can add an element, right? So if I go over here and type in ham and I hit run, all of a sudden it's super happy now because I added the other one. Now the problem is now this one's unhappy because I did the same thing. I have prices 0, 1, 2, and I'm trying to add a prices 3. So I could fix this by going over here and adding 4.99. Okay, so the other thing I could have done, so if I hit run now, I could fix it. Now an easier way to fix it is, so notice there's no error message. So an easier way to fix that, so let's take it back to how it was, back. Okay, so I hit run, get an error message. Okay, an easier way to fix it is just say, hey, I'll change that to 2, and I'm gonna change that to 2. And so now we're changing jelly beans to ham, and we're changing 2.5 to 4.99. So I'm actually changing an element of the array that's existing. So if I come back over to my little thing, so I'm basically just changing this guy. So this guy started off jelly beans, and then I switch him to ham. Okay. All right, so go ahead and now make sure you've finished part 1, and then go on to the next video.